Ladies and gentlemen, life doesn't reward those who simply wish for success. It honors those who plant seeds with vision, water them with discipline, and wait with patience. The tragedy of most lives isn't a lack of effort, but a lack of direction. When your mind is constantly consumed by short-term pleasures, your future becomes a stranger. Here's the truth. You cannot live richly tomorrow if you think poorly today. Most people don't suffer from a lack of time. They suffer from misused time. They chase speed over value, react instead of reflect, and slowly their days become noise, their actions scattered, and their results underwhelming. But those who build extraordinary lives understand a powerful principle. Success is hidden in your daily agenda, but it's driven by long-term vision. So I urge you, lean in, not just with your ears, but with your will. What we're about to explore isn't just about making money, it's about becoming the kind of person who attracts wealth through clarity, focus, and consistency. The long-term rewards belong to those who remain faithful to daily effort. The ones who win aren't just busy, they're aligned. Let's begin. Here's something I learned the hard way. It's not how much you make, it's how well you manage. You can earn a fortune and still end up broke if your money has no mission. I used to believe budgeting was restrictive, like putting a padlock on my joy, but I was wrong. Budgeting isn't about limiting your life, it's about designing your future. The wealthy understand this deeply. You don't command wealth until you command your dollars. Every dollar has energy. It either builds your life or burns it down. That's why I follow what I call the 70-30 rule. Live on 70% of your income. The other 30%, divide it with purpose. 10% to saving, 10% to investing, 10% to giving. Let me break this down because most people get it backwards. They spend everything first, then try to save what's left, if anything's left. That's not a plan, that's a gamble. And hope is not a wealth strategy. The moment you give every dollar a job before it disappears, your financial life transforms. Money, like a child, needs direction, discipline, and boundaries. If you don't tell it where to go, it wanders and it gets into trouble. When I first tried this, I was barely getting by. But I told myself, if I can't live on 70% now, what makes me think I'll be able to when I earn more? So I got serious. I saved 10 cents, even if it was small. I invested 10, even if it was in books, online courses, or a modest mutual fund. And I gave 10, because giving breaks the grip of greed and tells money, you don't own me. That giving mindset, it changed everything, because wealth flows to those who handle it with wisdom and generosity. Some say, I can't afford to save or invest, but my friend, the truth is, you can't afford not to. Even saving $5 a week matters. Even investing a few dollars teaches the habit, and habits build wealth, not windfalls. Most people wait to earn more before they start managing money. But here's the truth. If you can't manage $1, you won't manage $1,000. And if you're not generous with a little, you won't be with a lot. Money multiplies what's already inside of you. It magnifies your habits. So it's not about the amount, it's about the structure. Now you might ask, what about inflation, emergencies? Exactly, that's why you need a plan. Life is expensive. Mistakes are even more costly. But wisdom, that's cheap and powerful. Budgeting gives you control. Control gives you choices. And having choices, that's freedom, not just financial freedom, but mental freedom. It lets you say yes when it matters and no when it's wise. That's not restriction, that's power. The goal isn't to feel rich for a moment. The goal is to become wealthy for a lifetime. I often say, success is simply a few disciplines repeated daily. If you want to build wealth, you don't need just a dream, you need a routine that makes money not by accident, but by design. Most people want to be rich, but they spend their days drifting, reacting instead of creating. But the wealthy, they've built daily habits that attract income like a magnet. One of the most powerful routines you can create, it takes just 90 minutes a day. 30 minutes to learn, 30 minutes to create, 30 minutes to connect or sell. That's it. But do it daily with intention and consistency, and it can transform your life. Let's break it down. 30 min. Your mind is your greatest asset. Your income will never exceed your mindset. You can't solve a $100,000 problem with a $10,000 mentality. Read, listen, Study people who've done what you want to do. When I was broke, I read about sales, business, communication, not for a test, but for my future. Because your future is shaped by the ideas you feed your mind. And that's where your wealth journey truly begins. One new idea, just one, can completely shift the trajectory of your financial life. But that shift only happens when learning becomes a daily ritual, not a random event. The first 30 minutes of your day, spend it learning. Grow your thinking, expand your understanding, sharpen your insight. Because knowledge alone doesn't create wealth, but the right idea applied with discipline can change everything. Now, let's move to the next 30 minutes. Create. That's right, produce something. An offer, a video, a blog post, a pitch, a new plan, something that didn't exist before you sat down. You see, money doesn't just follow knowledge, it follows value, and value is only created through action. I've watched brilliant people study for years and still struggle financially, not because they didn't know enough, but because they never built anything. If you want to attract income, you have to contribute to the marketplace. Don't just think, build. Don't just plan, publish. Wealth is waiting for you, not at the starting line of thought, but at the finish line of output. And if you're unsure where to begin, ask yourself this simple question: what's one problem I can help solve today? Then create something that solves it. Now, the final 30 minutes. Outreach. Talk to people, follow up, send proposals, book a call, make a pitch. Because here's the truth. Wealth is not built in isolation, it grows through connection. I learned this early. It doesn't matter how great your skill is if no one knows you exist. I used to spend hours perfecting ideas, but nothing changed until I picked up the phone, knocked on the door, sent the email. Rejection doesn't kill dreams, silence does. So speak up, reach out, make the ask. If you talk to just 10 people a day, that's 300 a month, 3,600 a year. Don't tell me that won't make a difference. Too many people wait until they feel ready or until their schedule opens up. But life doesn't reward intention, it rewards discipline. Just 90 minutes a day learning, creating, selling. Stack that for a year, you've got momentum. Stack it for 5, you've built a legacy. You don't need a miracle, you need a money-making routine. Ideas are the seed of every fortune, but a seed kept in the drawer never becomes a harvest. I've met brilliant people sitting on gold mines of experience and insight, yet they're still broke, not because they lack talent or drive, but because they never learned to turn their knowledge into income. The marketplace doesn't pay for what you know. It pays for what you do with what you know. That's the bridge between potential and profit. And here's a secret. The best way to get started? Just pay attention. People are always complaining about time, money, energy, confusion. That's not just noise, that's opportunity in disguise. Complaints are the market's way of saying, there's a gap here. Learn to recognize the patterns, and you've got the seed of a business. I used to carry a small notebook and write down problems I overheard. I don't have time to cook. I hate making cold calls. I wish someone could just explain investing in plain English. Those weren't random complaints. They were market signals. Find one problem you understand. Maybe you've solved it yourself, or maybe you're just willing to learn fast and help others avoid the pain you once faced. Then, start simple. Don't wait for perfection. Don't delay until it's flawless. Maybe it's a checklist, maybe a 10-page guide, maybe a 20-minute consultation, something real, something useful, something now. When I began teaching, I didn't fill a stadium. I rented a tiny room, invited a handful of people, charged a modest fee, not to get rich, but to validate the idea. Some people loved it, some gave feedback. I didn't quit, I refined, because this is how income grows, through iteration, not imagination. Create something, test it, listen, adapt, serve. Don't fall in love with your product, fall in love with solving the problem. Money follows usefulness. If you want more income, become more useful, not in theory, but in action. Solve one problem for one group in one simple way. Then do it again. You don't need millions of followers. You don't need viral videos or venture capital. You need one clear offer and the courage to share it. That's how wealth begins. You don't have to start from zero. You're likely sitting on a fortune and don't even know it. Not buried in your backyard. Not hidden in a stock. It's in your story, your skills, your scars. That's your value. Most people ask, Who would pay for what I know? I'll tell you who, someone who hasn't learned it yet. If you've overcome a challenge, gained a skill, or solved a problem, you've got something someone else needs. The wealthy understand this. They don't earn solely from hours worked. They earn from what they've become. When I started speaking, I wasn't famous. No book, no big stage, just a story, lessons, hard-earned insight. I started small, shared my ideas with a few. Those ideas turned into talks, talks turned into tapes, tapes turned into courses. Eventually, those courses became income that worked even when I didn't. That's the secret. Wealthy people take what they know and scale it. And today, the tools are everywhere. You can turn your insight into a short guide, a digital product, a mini course, a simple consultation. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to be a few steps ahead, a chapter further in the book. That's enough to guide someone. And hear me, don't wait to be perfect. Don't waste years polishing what could already be paying. I've seen so many sit on greatness, paralyzed by perfection. But the truth is, rough drafts pay better than daydreams. You don't need to be the best in the world. You need to be useful, clear, and consistent. Want to build wealth? Stop selling your time, start selling your insight. Don't wait for a raise. Give yourself one. By turning your experience into income. This is the shift from consumer to creator, from trading time to building assets. A digital product can reach 10 people or 10,000. It doesn't tire. It doesn't sleep. That's leverage. That's how the wealthy think. So look again at your life, your lessons, your experience. There's gold in it all. The only question is, will you package it? Will you share it? Because if you do, wealth won't be a distant dream. It'll be a matter of time. And one last thing, there's a quiet power most people ignore on the road to wealth: privacy. We live in a noisy world. Everyone wants to announce their goals, their hustle, their next big thing. But the truth is, the loudest person rarely builds the tallest building. The wealthy understand that growth doesn't always need a spotlight. It doesn't happen in secret because of fear, but in privacy because of focus. When you work in silence, you conserve energy for what matters. You stop chasing applause and start building results. Let your results speak. Let your life become the proof. Not through noise, but through quiet, intentional, consistent action. I remember when I first set out to change my financial life. I didn't announce it. I didn't tell the world I was going to become successful. I just got to work, quietly. I studied in silence, practiced in private, and held my vision close. Not because I was hiding it, but because it wasn't ready. Goals, seeds, are like seeds. You don't dig them up every day to show them off. You protect them, water them, and give them time. And one day when the tree has grown tall, the world will see. Not because you told them, but because you stayed focused. You don't need to broadcast your ambition. You don't need to convince anyone you're serious. Convince yourself. That's the only voice you need to win. Too many people waste energy trying to impress others instead of impressing their own future. They talk big, post updates, chase applause, but they skip the practice. And then they wonder why the results never come. Don't fall into that trap. Don't measure success by how many people know your plan. Measure it by how often you show up when no one's watching. Silence sharpens discipline. It frees you from chasing validation and helps you build conviction. Every quiet moment of effort is proof that your goal matters, and that's what wealth responds to. Not hype, not noise, but consistency. Quiet work, early mornings, small, deliberate steps. And here's another truth. Privacy protects momentum. Tell too many people, and you open the door to their opinions. Opinions that can shake your confidence if you're not grounded. Some will doubt you, some will discourage you, some will reshape your vision to fit their fears. But when you grow in silence, you deny them that influence. You build your foundation before the world gets a say. So here's the invitation. Stop broadcasting. Start building. Trade performance for progress. Let your results speak. Let your success be the announcement. Because when you grow in silence, you don't just become wealthy, you become unshakable. When people talk about wealth and success, they focus on strategy, skills, and tactics. And yes, those matter. But beneath all of that, driving every door that opens and every call that comes in is one quiet force: your reputation. Your reputation is your shadow. It follows you into every room. It speaks before you do. And here's the truth. You don't have to chase opportunity if your reputation gets there first and says, "This one is worth it." The wealthy know this. They understand the market doesn't just pay for talent, it pays for trust. And trust isn't built on charisma, it's built on consistency. When I was starting out, before I had results or experience, I had one thing I could control: how I showed up. So I showed up early. I returned every call. I delivered work ahead of deadline. If I said I'd do something, I did it. And I didn't aim to impress. I aimed to exceed expectations. Not because I wanted applause, but because I was building something more valuable than money: credibility. People want to work with someone they can count on, not just someone who's smart, but someone who's dependable. Here's the truth: if you build a reputation for excellence and integrity, people will seek you out. They'll refer you. They'll bring your name up in rooms you haven't entered yet, because it's not just what you do, it's how you do it and who you become in the process. That's what most people miss. They think wealth is only about numbers, speed, or sales, but character is a currency, and in many cases, it outlasts all the rest. If you cut corners or ghost commitments, it catches up. But if your word becomes your bond, your value rises without a single post or pitch. This kind of reputation is built slowly, one act at a time, one promise kept, one problem solved. And the best part, you don't need permission, just a decision. Every day, to be excellent, not perfect, not flashy, just thoughtful, responsible, on time, present. Those are the echoes that build a name worth knowing. Over time, those echoes reach places and people far beyond your immediate circle. That's when the shift happens. Opportunities come to you because people trust your name before they even know your face. Build your reputation like it's your greatest investment, because it is. In the end, wealth isn't just about who you know. It's about who respects you, who recommends you, and who remembers you when opportunity knocks. And when it does, your reputation will open the door before you even touch the handle. Now let's talk about relationships. Most people misunderstand their power when it comes to wealth. They think networking is about collecting contacts, shaking hands, being seen, but that's not it. Wealth doesn't come from how many people know your name. It comes from how many people value what you bring. Relationships are bridges, and if you build them with care, they'll take you further than talent or hustle alone ever could. But here's the key: don't start by asking, start by giving. That's what most people miss. If you want to multiply wealth through relationships, don't network. Serve. Don't show up to impress, show up to contribute. Ask yourself, what does this person need that I can help with? Maybe it's an introduction, a resource, a kind follow-up, a book recommendation. You'd be shocked at how rare that level of attention is and how powerful it becomes. I remember early in my journey, I met a man at an event. He was further ahead than I was. Instead of pitching myself, I listened. I asked what he was working on. He mentioned needing a speaker for a small event. I didn't say, "Pick me." I said, "I know someone perfect for that. I'd be happy to connect you." I helped him. Months later, he remembered me, not because I sold myself, but because I served. And wouldn't you know it, down the road, he invited me, not to the small event, but to something much bigger. That's the law of reciprocity. When you send value into the world, it finds its way back in ways you never could have planned. But you must be patient. Don't serve with a stopwatch. Don't expect instant return. Relationships are like investments. They compound. So plant seeds, a thoughtful email here, a quick check-in there, a small gift, a helpful connection. Those are deposits into an invisible bank account. And one day, when you least expect it, that account pays you back in full, because the people you've helped become the people who open doors. That's how wealth is built, not just through effort, but through trust, reputation, and generosity. You could never reach the top alone, and the wealthy know this. They don't burn bridges, they build them. They don't use people, they uplift them. That's why they're rarely alone. They're surrounded by people who want to see them win, because they helped others win first. That's how you multiply wealth, through relationships, not by manipulation, but through generosity. Not with noise, but with real value. So if you want better relationships, stop asking, "Who can help me?" Start asking, "Who can I help today?" That one question asked daily becomes the foundation of a powerful network. And that network becomes a multiplier for everything you're building. There's a quiet power in putting pen to paper, a discipline overlooked by many chasing wealth. Every Sunday, take a moment to reflect, not just journaling for the sake of it, but focused, intentional reflection on your financial journey. Ask yourself 3 questions. What did I earn? What did I learn? What can I improve? This isn't just bookkeeping, it's a conversation with your future self, a pause to check the map before continuing the climb. When you write down what you earned, you acknowledge the value of your time and effort. Even if the income is small or irregular, it reminds you that your work matters. Tracking earnings consistently reveals patterns. Maybe certain days, clients, or activities generate more income. Recognizing these trends gives you clarity, and clarity is how wealth grows. Then ask, what did I learn? Every week brings new lessons, a budgeting insight, an investment mistake, a business breakthrough. Writing them down transforms fleeting experiences into durable knowledge. Learning becomes a habit, reflection becomes a strategy, and wealth becomes rooted not just in effort, but in wisdom. Finally, what can I improve? That question is where progress accelerates. Self-awareness is the gateway to change. Maybe you overspent, maybe you undercharged, maybe you skipped opportunities. When you identify those moments without judgment, you set the stage for smarter choices. This process turns vague financial goals into concrete, repeatable action steps. And over time, those small corrections create massive outcomes. I remember when I began this habit. Before journaling, my finances felt like a blur. I was reacting, not leading. But once I started reflecting weekly, everything changed. I became aware. I caught bad habits early. I celebrated small wins. This ritual made me more disciplined, more strategic, and most importantly, more honest. Because clarity builds control, and control builds wealth. So commit to this weekly ritual, just 30 minutes every Sunday. Track what you earned, what you learned, and what you'll improve. It's not flashy, but it's powerful. Wealth grows through consistency and clarity, and journaling is the bridge between your intentions and your results. There's a truth that most people ignore on the road to success. Motivation doesn't last. It's like fireworks, bright, exciting, and short-lived. You start a new plan full of energy, but within days or weeks, the spark fades. What separates the successful from the stuck isn't motivation, it's consistency. And consistency doesn't come from hype. It comes from having a deep, meaningful why. When you know why you're doing something, whether it's to provide for your family, achieve freedom, or leave a legacy, you no longer rely on emotion, you operate from purpose. Keep that reason visible. Write it on a card, place it on your desk, look at it every day. Because when motivation disappears, your why will pull you forward. But a strong why still needs support, and that support comes from systems. Motivation is emotional. Systems are structural. A good system doesn't care how you feel, it just keeps you on track. Use visual tools like calendars, habit trackers, and milestone journals. They turn invisible effort into visible wins. Every task completed, every box checked fuels momentum. Build routines that become non-negotiable. Schedule your wealth-building activities, reading, investing, reaching out, at the same time every day. Let them become habits, not choices. This reduces decision fatigue and turns progress into a lifestyle. I used to rely on bursts of motivation, but the highs and lows wore me out. Only when I built systems and tied them to my purpose did I truly move forward. That's when I stopped starting over. That's when wealth began to take root. Remember, motivation is a guest, it visits. But systems, they live with you. Combine your why with a system. That's how consistency becomes inevitable. And that's how wealth becomes the natural result of daily discipline. Patience is often misunderstood. People think it means sitting back, waiting quietly for things to happen. But real patience in wealth building isn't passive, it's active endurance. It's knowing that meaningful results take time, while still moving with urgency every single day. Wealth doesn't arrive like a lightning bolt. It grows like a tree, slowly, quietly, year after year. The key is to start now, act decisively, and give your actions time to mature. Too many people delay their start, waiting for the perfect plan, perfect moment, or perfect knowledge. But that's not patience. That's procrastination in disguise. Real patience means acting with what you know, where you are, and trusting that you'll improve as you go. Time is a multiplier, but it only rewards those who are moving. Every day you wait is a missed chance to grow. In my own life, I didn't start with a blueprint. I didn't have certainty. What I had was the decision to act, to move, to trust the process. I journaled, I learned, I sold, I failed, I adjusted, and over time, momentum replaced fear. Progress replaced doubt. Urgency doesn't mean rushing blindly, it means respecting the value of each day. Wealth is a long-term game, but it's built one urgent step at a time. So don't wait for conditions to be perfect, they never will be. Start now. Take the first step, then take the next and the next. Be patient with the outcome, but urgent in your input. That balance is the secret to everything. As we reach the close of this conversation, let me leave you with one final truth. Your 24 hours are your most valuable currency. How you spend them shapes the wealth and life you build. Time is the great equalizer. Everyone gets the same. But how you use it, that's what separates the dreamers from the doers. The wealthy understand this. That's why they protect their time. They don't waste it on distractions or drama. They use it with intention. Wealth isn't just about dollars. It's about freedom, growth, contribution, and all of it begins with how you spend your day. Because small decisions made daily become your destiny. So plan your time, guard it, wake up with purpose, focus on the actions that move the needle, build routines that align with your vision, surround yourself with people who lift you higher, reflect each night, adjust each morning, let your life be built by design, not default. When motivation fades, let your systems and your why keep you going. Be patient with your growth, be urgent in your action. And remember, you don't need to do it all today. You just need to do something today. Because every hour matters, every choice compounds, every action shapes the future. The life you want is within reach, if you make your time count. So start now. Make this the moment you chose to master your day. Master your focus. Master your future. Wealth is waiting on the other side of disciplined days, focused minds, and consistent action. Let today be the beginning of everything you've been working toward.